Welcome to Everyday Linux User. In today's video I'm going to show you how to install 9 of the most popular web browsers into Debian. It's going to use Debian packages and not Flatpaks. And there's going to be a few commands that you're going to learn along the way, terminal commands, and that's the importance of this video more than anything. But at the end of it you should be able to install probably your favourite browser as long as it's one of the 9. So to go through the 9 we're going to install Firefox, Chrome, Chromium, Brave, Opera, Vivaldi, Edge, Falkon and Epiphany. So let's start with the virtual machine. I've created a virtual machine called Debian Browser Installs. So I'm going to flip to that now. So here we are on my virtual machine, and you'll see if I go to network I've got Firefox already installed. And we'll start off by installing the most straightforward browsers first. So the reason you get Firefox ESR because it's an extended support release, and that accompanies Debian very well because Debian is a stable distribution. You don't get many updates along the way. The point of it is to be stable and not necessarily the most cutting edge software. So the extended support release of Firefox means you get a very stable version of Firefox. So we're going to start off with the easy web browsers to install. So Firefox would be just a case of sudo apt install Firefox ESR, and that's all you need to do for that. I'm not going to do it, it's already installed, and I showed you how to install that a while ago in the previous video. So we're going to move on to a few of the other ones now that are easy to install. So let's start off with Falkon. So if I do sudo apt search Falkon and type to more, enter my password, you see Falkon is a lightweight web browser based on the Qt web engine. It normally comes with KDE, but to install Falkon, it again is sudo apt install Falkon. You've learned nothing new here really, as long as you know the sudo apt install command. Installing the Falkon web browser is straightforward. As you can see, that's now finished installing. So if I right click, go to network, go to web browser, you can see a couple of other things have installed because of that. So KDE Connect has come in. By installing Falkon you get stuff that you didn't necessarily choose to install, but if I go to network, web browser, Falkon, it should now load up perfectly well, and there you go. So the next one we're going to do, so if we've done Falkon, which is a KDE centric browser, it's good to do a GNOME centric browser, so we're going to do Epiphany. So we're going to clear the screen, sudo apt search Epiphany -more. It's often known as the GNOME web browser, and you can see the one we're looking for there is the Epiphany browser. So sudo apt install Trust me, it will get a little bit more difficult for some of the browsers than just a simple sudo apt install, because otherwise this video is incredibly pointless, because I'm sure you can all find the package you want to install easily. But when we get to installing Chrome and Brave, Opera, Vivaldi and Edge, there's a little bit more work that needs to be done. So here we are, Epiphany is now installed. As you can see, it says GNOME www browser. So if we go into here and we go into web browser, and you'll see that web is an option, and that is the GNOME web browser. So the next one we're going to do is Chromium. So Chromium is a little bit different to the others. So you need to install. So we're going to clear the screen. you need to install x11-utils first. So sudo apt install x11-utils. And we'll clear the screen and we'll do sudo apt search Chromium, like more. And you can see there is one called Chromium, which is right there. So all we've got to do is install Chromium. So sudo apt install Chromium. And as you can see, Chromium is now installed. So if I right click, network, web browser, and Chromium is there. So now we're going to get on to the other browsers, and these are slightly more tricky to install. So for this, I'm going to use one of the web browsers we've already got installed. I'm going to use Firefox, because I have a GitHub page. So my GitHub page is github.com/GaryNorUK/Debian scripts. And under there I've got a folder called web browsers. And the importance for this isn't for you to necessarily download the Git, but I will show you how to do this later on. It's because my memory isn't good enough to remember all these commands off the top of my head, and I will make mistakes. So to make it easier to show you the commands, I will probably copy and paste and show you them as I go. So if I go into the web browsers folder, we'll start off with Chrome, as it's one of the most popular. If I click into there, you'll see there's a list of commands. So the first thing we have to do is install apt transport https and curl. Now apt transport https allows you to access repositories using https, and curl is a command that allows you to download files over the internet. So we'll start off with those that command first to install those. Let's clear the screen. So it's easy to see. Sudo apt install apt transport https and curl, and then -y forces the install to save you having to press the Y button. So after installing curl, you might want to understand what this command here is. So what we're going to do here is curl -fssl. So the -f tells it what to do in failure, which is minimal. The lowercase s means it's going to silently do its task. The L provides a location to the file that you want to download, which in this case is this linux_signin_key.pub. And the uppercase S tells it to return errors if there are errors. So this part of the command here is going to go to the Google website, it's going to go into the Linux folder, and it's going to download this signing-key.pub. It's going to output that to sudo gpg dearmor, and what that does is that file there is an encrypted file, and the gpg will take that encrypted file and it's going to output it to T. T is like an editor, and what it's going to do is going to take the contents of the GPG and it's going to put it in this user share keyrings Google Chrome GPG file. And the point at the end bit is output to dev null. If you don't do that, then you'll get a screen of text pop up when you run the command. So that makes it run, and the command will happen silently. So let's do it. Let's run the command, and I'll show you what happens. So if I go to user share keyrings, these are the ones that are commonly installed. You can see there isn't one called Google-Chrome. So what we're going to do then is we're going to type curl -fssl https dl.google.com linux_signing-key.pub. We're going to pipe that to sudo gpg, and we're going to do dearmor, and we're going to pipe that again to sudo t, and go user share keyrings Google Chrome GPG, and we're going to output that to dev null. So if I do ls again, you'll see now that there's a Google Chrome GPG file. So that gives us a signing key that we can use when we download the actual repository. It's going to use that to enable us to use that repository. It's a security measure to prevent bad actors. So the next command, we have a folder called etc apt, and this is where all your repositories come from. So if I do nano on sources.list, these are all the repositories for Debian, but you don't want to add new repositories into this list directly because this is the one used by Debian. You want to leave this clean and leave it alone. So there's a folder called sources.list.d, and in here you can add other repositories from external sources. So in this case we want to add in the Google Chrome repository. So that's where the next command comes in. So the echo command is going to echo this Debian command here. It's going to use the key that we just created in the user keyrings. It's going to add this as the repository into the sources list for Google Chrome, and it's going to say it wants stable and main. And it's going to output that using this pipe command, using the sudo t, to etc apt sources.listd, and it's going to call it Chrome list, Google Chrome.list. So what you're going to end up at the end of this command is the Google Chrome repository. So let's do it now. The point of the arch equals AMD64 is because we want the 64-bit version, and we're going to say signed by, we're going to use the keyring created in the previous command. We're going to go to download.google.com, Linux, Chrome, Deb. It's going to, we want stable and main, and now we're going to pipe that out to sudo t etc apt sources.list.d / and I think we called it Google Chrome.list. So if I ls now, you'll see there's a Google Chrome.list, and we can nano that, and you can see it's got that whole command, the deb arch signed by user keyrings Chrome, the whole thing in there. So that's most of the work done. So now you need to do sudo apt update, and that's going to pull down everything that's in the Google Chrome repository, and obviously all the Debian ones as well. So there was a mistake in my command. It should have been https://dl.google.com, and you'll see I've also got Linux Chrome or one word. It should have a slash in there. So we're gonna edit the file directly. So sudo nano Google Chrome.list, and we're gonna fix the mistake. First off, we want that to be HTTPS, and I need to put a / in there. If I run sudo apt update again, I can see it's worked this time, and now I can do sudo apt install Google Chrome stable and you can see that's now installing. So you see that's now installed. So if I right click, I go to network, you can see it's already changed to the Chrome icon in my browser. Oh no, I clicked the wrong button there. Network, web browser, and you see Google Chrome is in fact installed. And I can make it my default browser. I'm not going to do that. And you can see Chrome is now installed. So that's Chrome installed. Let's move on to Brave. It's a similar, very similar install indeed. So if I go into the install Brave script, you see the same thing again. If you haven't installed curl already, you install curl. You use the similar curl command. So it's getting the Brave browser keyring, and it's telling you where to get that keyring from. So the command's slightly different. I'm outputting to the file first, and then I'm providing the name of the place to get the key from. But afterwards, we're then doing the Debian thing to add it into the sources.list, but we're going to call it Brave browser list, and then we're going to update and we're going to install browser. So let's do it. Sudo apt. Well, we don't need to install curl. We've already installed curl, so we're going to sudo curl -fsslO and user share keyrings Brave browser archive keyring.jpg and https Brave browser at release. I think that's the whole command. So if I go to my user share keyrings, you'll see there is now one called Brave Browser Archive, and we can run the echo command, and I'll try and get it right this time. Deb assigned by. You'll notice I put quotes around at this time. It doesn't actually matter either way, I don't think. So we're doing the same thing again. We're creating a repository list in the apt sources list folder so that we can download from the Brave repository. So sudo t etc apt sources list d /brave browser release list. And if we go to etc apt sources.list.d, you'll see there's now one for Brave browser as well. So we can do sudo apt update. And you can now do sudo apt install, I think it's just Brave browser. And you should be able to see now that's finished installing. So if I right click, you can see it's changed the icon already. If I go to network, web browser, you see Brave web browser is now there. Now obviously I'm not suggesting you install all these browsers yourself. Just pick the one that you want. You don't need 9 browsers on your system. So the next one we're going to install, I'm going to do Edge next. You'll see I've got the first command is sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. But basically the importance of that update updates your repositories, and upgrades the applications to the latest version available. You don't have to do that. You can see there are extra commands here though. So we've already got app transport HTTPS and we've already got curl, but we need CA certificates and we need software properties common. So let's clear the screen for Edge. If a package is already installed, it won't try and reinstall it again. It will just say it's already the latest version available. So the next command, very similar as the last ones. This is very much like the Chrome one. We're doing sudo curl. We're using the same switches, the FSSL, and then we're going to the Microsoft website to get the key. In this case, it's called Microsoft.asc. We're then using gpg.dearmor to output that to a Microsoft Edge GPG in the user share key rings. So let's do that now. We'll clear the screen. Let's go to user share key rings first. And you see there isn't one for Microsoft at the moment, but if we do less than at now, you'll see there's a Microsoft Edge GPG. So the next command, as we know, we're going to go by now you should realize that we're going to create a Microsoft Edge list here, which will allow us to then download Microsoft Edge. So that's what the next command is. And it doesn't matter what you call this list file, by the way. So if I do sudo apt update now, and I can do sudo apt install Microsoft Edge stable. So that's Microsoft Edge installed, so I can right click, network, browser, and you'll see Microsoft Edge is here. And you can see it is as annoying as everything else with Microsoft. You can't just set it up, it has to have all this get started nonsense, and I just want to use a browser. I don't want to have to answer millions of questions. So there's two more to go, Opera and Vivaldi. So if I go back to my web browsers here and I go into install Opera, and you'll see I've got a different command this time. So if I type wget, You see that's installed by default. So wget is another way of getting a file down from the internet. So what we're doing this time is dev.opera.archive.key. We're doing the same thing. We're getting a key. We're using the dearmor. We're outputting it to our keyrings folder. So why am I using different commands for each of these things? Why is the curl command slightly different? Why am I using wget in this instance? Well, let's go to the Opera website and see how you install a Debian file. Here I am on deb.opera.com, and it says manually add in the Opera apt repository, and you can see it gives you the commands for installing the keyrings and how to install the Opera afterwards. So you can see it's doing the wget command rather than the curl command. If you look at the Brave version, you'll see it's got the curl command, and it shows you all the commands that you have to use to install the browser. So it's not a case of me guessing what the commands are. It's a case of going to the websites of the software you want to install and actually looking for the commands to run. Now, I think I could install Opera in the same way that I install Brave by using the curl command, but because I know this is the way Opera have asked you to do it, that's why I've written the command the way I have. So if I go to user share keyrings, you'll see there's one called opera.gpg. So we'll go back to my script. So now we're echoing the Opera GPG out. We're creating an Opera sources list file. So echo dev. And now I can just do sudo apt update. I've obviously got the path slightly wrong there. etc apt. And if you ever get the command wrong, you can just edit the command directly within the list file. It's the opening bracket. So sudo apt update. And now sudo apt install opera stable. And you see a pop-up pops up. Do you want to update Opera together with the rest of the system? I choose yes for this. And as you see, that should be installed now. So if I go to network, web browser, and you'll see Opera is available. Now Opera is a non-free web browser. It depends on your beliefs whether you want to install non-free software. I have no problem with it. I install Chrome, so it doesn't matter either way to me, but to other people, they don't like things that aren't open source. So as you see, Opera is running, and that leaves us on to our last one, and it's Vivaldi. So if I go back to my scripts folder and I go into Vivaldi, now there's an important thing to note here. You probably don't want Opera and Vivaldi installed on the same system. They're very much from a similar base, but their commands are very similar. So I'm going to clear this, and you can see it's using the curl command again to get the key, and it's going to output it to your key rings folder. It's going to add the source to a Vivaldi source list. You're going to update, and then you're going to install Vivaldi. So let's do that. As you can see, I didn't put the dev null on the end, and that's what happens when you don't do the dev null. That doesn't mean it didn't work, because if I go to user share key rings, you'll see Vivaldi is there, but that's the importance of the dev null. If you don't want all that gunk coming up on your screen, you output to the dev null. So let's do the next command. You can see I've now got a Vivaldi list. So I'm going to show you this. If I sudo apt update, you'll see a lot of errors appear because I've got Opera installed already. When you add in the Vivaldi list, it causes all these sort of like warnings to appear. It's not particularly a problem. It's just it's a warning saying, well, these packages appear multiple times. So what we're going to do now is sudo apt update, and this wouldn't happen if you installed Opera on its own or Vivaldi on its own. It's just because I've got both of them listed, which is kind of why I recommend one or the other. Sudo apt install. So that's now installed, so we can go to network web browser, and you'll see Vivaldi is there. And you can now start using Vivaldi. That's not the end of the video. Don't go away. I'm going to make life easy for you. For all the people that have stayed to the end, you're going to get the easiest way of installing these browsers. I'm going to close this. Okay, so I've recreated my virtual machine. It's only got the Firefox again. So for all of those that want an easy way to install these browsers, if you open a terminal, and you start off by doing sudo apt install git, type in your password, make sure you're in your home folder, cd and then the tilde, clear the screen. pwd shows you where you are, so I've got home gallery. I'm going to make a directory called scripts, and cd into scripts, and then I'm going to do sudo git clone, and it's https github cd.com UK Debian scripts. And if you do ls, you'll see there's a folder called Debian scripts. So we'll do cd Debian scripts ls, and you'll see there's another folder called web browsers. So cd web browsers. We'll clear the screen, do ls again, and you'll see that they're not executable. So what you need to do now is sudo chmod +x star.sh. And if you ls again, all the scripts are now executable. So say I want to install Chrome, all I have to do now is sudo /install chrome.sh. So now that's installed, we can right click to prove it, go into network. You can already see the icon there. If you go web browser, Google Chrome, and you can make it default browser, and Chrome is installed. To tidy up, we're going to cd again, and we're going to do sudo rm -R Debian scripts. And if we go back to one folder, if you don't want the scripts folder, you can rm -R scripts, and that deletes everything from the scripts folder. So you're now, everything's back as it was before, but you've now got the Chrome web browser. And you could use the same method to install any of the other browsers. And to prove that it does the same thing as before, so if we cd into etc at sources.list.d, do ls, you can see there's a Google Chrome list there. So it's all the same commands you used before, just wrapped up into individual scripts. And that is the end of the video. If you liked it, give it a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on Everyday Linux User.